Eagles fans, welcome back to another episode of Eagle Watch, your home for all UWL Things football, sponsored by Pizza Ranch. The Eagles are off to a hot start in 2025, improving to 2-0 after a 31-22 victory over Wayne State in the home opener at Roger Herring Stadium. It was a big day for quarterback Kyle Haas, who threw for a career high of 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. Wide receivers Jack Janke and Tyler Bowman both had standout games, each finding the end zone not once but twice. And the defense made key stops to help secure another impressive win for UWL. And today, we're going to break it all down with the man himself, head coach of the team, Matt Janis, the offensive explosion, the defensive resilience, and what lies ahead as the Eagles get ready for one of the biggest games of the season, really, a road trip to Whitewater, who ranked 16. So, Coach Janis, thanks for joining us. Let's start here. How proud are you of the team taking care of business at Roger Herring Stadium for the home opener?
Yeah, really proud. Obviously, you know, the start, I think I did a pretty poor job of getting our offense just in the feel of what that game was going to be. And, you know, throughout the week, I spent a lot of time worrying about the weather and trying, you know, how we're going to do a lightning delay and all that. And of course, it's sunny and hot. And like, you know, then on Saturday, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't hydrate them enough and all that stuff. But I didn't do a good enough job. And I kind of alluded to it with them Thursday and then into like our Friday meetings of how they were going to play up front. And Wayne State was a team that invested you can see invested their money into their guys up front in that front seven. They were good players up front, but then just schematically of what that was going to be, where they were going to play, you know, at times 8 in the box. They were going to play at times we got 9 in the box. Really kind of funky looks with their overhang kind of field linebacker, where he kind of showed you some stuff out, and then he came into the box. And so they were always going to try to put +1 in the box and not let you run the ball. And then on top of it, the physicality, and we knew that was going to come with that game. But I think I didn't do a good enough job getting our offense, you know, hey, ready to go of how that was going to be, and being able to kind of, and they did. And the kids did a great job being able to withstand that kind of initial bombardment through the first quarter. And when they were really going to try to come after us, and our offense just kind of chipped away. They didn't get frustrated, you know. And we did. We self-inflicted ourselves a little bit. We had some holding penalties. We had a couple penalties. You know, we blew a protection on a sack there. But our offense really, you know, got going then as the game went on. They stuck together. I know they were frustrated at times, but they stuck together, stuck with the game plan, and really our offensive play caller did a final, just an awesome job adjusting. And Coach Yagi, you know, hey, okay, this is what they're doing. Here's what we're going to go with. We're going to try to exploit the outside a little bit. And obviously that came in and that worked. And so our offense, I think, with the resiliency that they showed in a game that we needed receivers to step up. We had just another devastating injury on the Tuesday practice, where, you know, for the second time in 4 days at that point, our kids had to watch a guy get taken off on a stretcher, and we lose Keaton Aaron in practice just to an injury, kind of a freak injury with everything. And so in a game where we needed our receiving core to step up, those guys did. Jack Janke, Tyler Bowman, you know, Jack Reeling had a big catch, a couple big catches, and Brody and Evan Richmond. Like, we had a ton of big catches from that group. So really impressed with the resiliency of our offense, and for our offense to just find a way to win the game, right? When the initial game plan, when plan A wasn't going according like what we wanted, being able to dip into plan B and plan C and find ways to win the football game. And then I think defensively, man, our guys just played really, really physical up front and in the box. And when our offense was struggling early on, our defense picked up. And hey, we kept it at worst to a 7-0 game early on throughout that game. And so I thought our defense had some tremendous, they had some big fourth down stops, they had some big third down stops with everything. And so our defense was able to, you know, kind of, hey, as we work as a team, our defense was able to keep that thing within striking distance. And sure enough, our offense started clicking, you know, midway through the second quarter. We have a big touchdown catch, and then we go in on a 4th and 1, and then we go into, you know, the kind of the last 2 minutes of the half, and we're able to kind of put a nice drive together. It sucks that we couldn't get the fumble recovery off the sack, but we put together a really nice drive on offense and come away with 3 points. And, you know, we're sitting at halftime being like, we could play a lot better. But we're winning 10-7 and getting the ball, right? And so, and then I just thought our third quarter and really with our fourth quarter on offense, just continue to put that thing together.
Yeah, everything kind of came together like all as one, and like you kind of mentioned all the names that are involved in the offense. It's not obviously you have these amazing stud receivers and a great quarterback, but you have all these other receivers in the run game that everyone pulls their weight here.
Yeah,
and it shows here. So I guess what stood out to you most about the team's performance? Yeah, I'm sure the energy was high. It was the home opener and everything like that, but what stood out to you most?
What stood out to me the most, like I said, and I can't keep harping this now, is just the resiliency of our offense, of the ability to find a different way to win the football games. We thought we were going to be able to establish the run game, and they did. Like I said, they took it away. They put 8 and 9 in the box, and being able to adjust our play calling, to adjust with our offense, and to find different ways. And okay, if you're gonna give us one-on-one matchups on the outside, like we're gonna take advantage of that. And we feel like we have some really good receivers that did that, and they capitalized. And Jack and Tyler capitalized on some of those one-on-one matchups. And then defensively, we continue to be really stout against the run right now. And we're trying to figure out, and our kids on defense did a great job of adjusting too, because this is the second straight week now where we haven't the opponent, we haven't seen what we saw on film. They had a whole new set of offense. We prepared for one thing and what they ran against Finlay the week before with their quarterback, and then we get into this week and it's a completely different offensive game plan. And so our kids and our coaches are trying to adjust as everything goes on. And I thought we did a really good job of being able to utilize our bench as kind of a work zone and get ourselves adjusted, get ourselves figured out. Discuss what we're seeing and communicate kind of that new game plan as we get rolling. So I thought on both sides of the ball, our players did a great job of in-game adjustments and making kind of new tweaks throughout the game. And that's what WIAC football is going to require here coming up. It's like you're going to have to continuously adjust and use the bench as a workspace.
Yeah, definitely. So we already talked about the receivers, and we mentioned the defense, got the quarterback here. Let's give the run game some recognition here. So they didn't produce huge numbers, flashy numbers, but they still help balance the offense here. How do you see that workroom coming along?
Yeah, I mean, in that game, we had to continue to run the football, and we did. And we found some creative ways, and we brought in Jacob Huber, one of our backup quarterbacks, and he came in and added kind of a quarterback run game element into some of that, and Kyle brought some of that as well. But we still gave his carries, and we still gave Otis carries. And I know, they're frustrated because the numbers don't show, but they had some big carries throughout that game, and we had to keep threatening them with the run game, right? So we had to keep kind of pushing that and keep giving our carries, and eventually we broke some runs, and not 50-yard runs, not 40-yard runs, but enough to put ourselves in a position to win the game.
Runs that matter, right? I mean, it's not all these big flash. Yeah,
Timing.
Exactly.
Yep.
I love that. So through 2 games, what identity do you see forming with this whole group, the Eagles?
I think they're a team that's physical. I am proud of that. And on both sides of the football, I think we are a physical football team. I think we have a really good team chemistry across the board. I feel like this is a team. We have phenomenal leadership with our 4 captains, and I think that bonds us, and they connect over that. And so I think that's a huge part. And I think we're doing some really good things. And then as we go into this bye week, there's still a ton of things that we have to work on, especially as we get into this. The easy part of our season is now done. That was the easy part, and now we get a little bit of a breather, and we get some opportunities to improve as a football team. But now we're going to go into WIAC play now, which our conference at this point is playing at a ridiculously high level, and now we're trying to brace our guys. I spent all yesterday in meetings just telling about how good our conference is and what it's going to take. It's now we're going to go into this stretch now. We're coaching. We don't sleep. There's no sleep anymore. The physicality of what's going to happen. We're trying to brace ourselves for what's to come here.
Yeah, you've now beaten a ranked team on the road, Carnegie, and now a D2 opponent at home. How do you see those 2 different games prepare you for WIAC play?
Yeah, I think obviously Carnegie with the ranked opponent and playing in that kind of environment and having to play on the road a little bit. But I think, each game you kind of learn some different lessons, about your team. We talked about trying to fix some stuff in the red zone from the Carnegie game, and I feel like we were able to do some of that stuff. Trying to, where we were able to kind of establish the run game in Carnegie, and then this week we weren't able to, and be able to adjust our offense accordingly with that. So I think that game kind of taught us a little bit about the kind of the back and forth momentum swings, and then, this last game was about seeing the speed and the physicality of what league play is going to be, and that's why we tried to play up a division. That's why we continue to try to play up a division every year, and we have, so that we can see the size and physicality. And like this game, as we come away now, gosh dang, them up front on their defensive line and within their linebackers like that was physical football. And you know what? That's what Whitewater's going to be here in another week and a half. And that's what, Oshkosh and Platteville and Stout, and River Falls, that's what they're all going to be here. And so we've at least now experienced the physicality of what's to come.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what's to come here. UW Whitewater coming up. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, Pizza Ranch, before we get into that game.
Pizza Ranch serves buffet your way. Dive into our buffet featuring a variety of legendary pizzas, crispy fried chicken, and classic American sides. And don't miss out on the excitement of our Fun Zone arcade. Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
Next up is one of the biggest rivalries in D3 football, in my opinion, UW Whitewater. What makes this matchup so special every year?
Well, to be honest with you, Lucas, I haven't got too much into them yet.
Yeah.
We've kind of
got some time
trying to take advantage of our bye weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like I screwed that up last year, and we didn't do a good enough job of going 1-0 on our bye and kind of having that mentality where we used it more. We were too complacent maybe last year. Maybe some distractions with Oktoberfest a little bit with that stuff. And so, we preached a lot yesterday more on, what do we need to get out of the bye week, and what do we need to, for us, we need to see our threes need extended team periods, probably some live periods here as we get going. So, those guys who have been kind of hey, seeing 5 reps a game need to be able to go. We got to continue to develop our lower part of our roster. We need to find ways to recover our top guys that have been playing in 2 of these physical games here, and then we'll start turning the page to Whitewater. And
right.
To answer your question, I think it's the history of both programs. I think both of our schools are tremendously proud of what we've accomplished in the past and that line of success. And I think this is 2 schools that have, because of that history, have the expectation of you have to win, and not just win, but you're expected to win championships at lacrosse. You're expected to win championships at Whitewater. So that kind of history, ties into that, and that's why I think this rivalry has been so good and going at each other. And there's great coaches, there's great players, and it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be a great environment there on Saturday and in another week. And man, it's just a fun game to be a part of. It is I love this. I'm going to be challenged as a coach, schematically, from a player standpoint. It's going to be high level. It's going to be a physical football game. This is awesome. What an opportunity.
Exactly. I'm really glad you mentioned the importance of the bye week, because we got to remember, we're in competitive football here, but these are also students. These guys have lives, I'm sure they'll have fun at Oktoberfest and stuff like that, but it's a balance. And I feel like sometimes being a collegiate athlete is finding that balance can be really difficult. So enjoy the bye week here. You got any fun plans for that? Are you unplugging, or are you're never unplugged?
No, nobody is. I mean, so we've tried to tell our team, so today they have off. So Tuesday they're off. I wanted to kind of back up. We just had meetings yesterday and a little bit of weights. So we're trying to get their bodies back a little bit here over these next 2 days, and then we'll kind of alternate Wednesday through Saturday of light and heavy practices here, and kind of go back and forth. And like I said, each day we'll kind of structure on a different thing. We'll introduce Whitewater a little bit as we go throughout the week. I don't want to spend 2 straight weeks. I don't want to make it too complex,
Right.
and all of a sudden we got a whole new defense, because we're trying to stop everything. So we're trying to, take it in little bunches. But there's a lot of like individual and team stuff that we just have to focus on, as opposed to just putting an opponent in front of us. And then, like I said, I don't think our guys will have much time off, and we've been preaching to them, hey, we want to go 1-0 on this bye, and like that's really our focus right now.
Yeah, always remaining focused on what lies ahead. So awesome. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of Eagle Watch, presented by Pizza Ranch. Big thank you to head coach Matt Janis for giving us all the insights on what has happened and what's to come. So, Coach, enjoy this bye.
Thank you.
Don't unplug, as he said. Always stay in focus, and enjoy the weekend. But
Thank you.
I'm excited to talk about Whitewater coming up after this
There you
weekend.
go.
So
be here fast. So thank you, Lucas, and go Eagles.
go Eagles.